podcast, where three of the OKS youth ministers talk about youth ministry. I am Michael Deese, and I am joined by Jeremy Crow and Hunter Puckett, and we are back in studio.
Yeah,
What's it feel? What's it feel like?
It feels muted.
It does feel.
Is it
I'm
muted?
not muted though.
Oh man.
I just muted you.
You're
back.
Feels good to be back in the
And
South.
we're back.
Back in America. Well, I mean, Boston is America.
No,
but
it's not. No, it's
It
not.
was very different. But I will say the weather was really nice, and people were really nice up there, opposed to what I've been told. People let you merge when you're not supposed to be merging at that point.
I thought he was going to say murder. I thought that's what
People let you
people just
murder
let you
there.
murder. They don't care.
But listen, what I do want to say is we just got off the phone with Lucas Dial, and if you listened to our podcast last week, Lucas was the host, and I just want to say he's killing it. The new president of M2Y, doing a great job. So if you are in youth ministry or you're associated with youth ministry, please do look up M2Y and check that out.
Yeah, m2yconference.com.
Stands for what?
Ministry to Youth Conference.
That's right.
Yeah, and you definitely need to be there. We're going to be there. We'll have a booth there. And they're making us pay for it this time.
No. Keep it in. Don't cut that.
They're not a sponsor.
No longer a sponsor.
Hey, I don't
of the
want
show.
y'all to get confused and think that they're a sponsor, because they're not. Last year they were. This year they're not.
Not
We
a
were,
sponsor.
we were supposed to mention all this
yet.
at the end of the episode, but
We're not going to do it.
Do you think this turns around that conversation?
Maybe.
No, I didn't catch that vibe.
he's still a great guy, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we might have to dial him back to talk to him about it.
So anyways, today's episode...
So today we're sticking with the budget, and I think this is our last episode about the budget.
It may be. Let me. I always like a little segue before we get into it too deep. I got to ask you guys, if let's say hypothetically that you're walking through your youth room and you find
Take 'em to Disney.
random obscure toenail clipping, what would you do?
I eat it.
Okay.
vacuum it up.
I would eat it, and then I would guess whose it was
After you ate it.
after I ate it, based on the
Good.
taste and smell.
Y'all are disgusting.
That's actually the experience that Lucas just had as we were on the phone with him. And he ate it. So
He
you should
sure
ask him
did.
about that when you call him about the M2Y conference.
Yep.
I will say we fed about 100 boys breakfast Friday from our youth group. We served breakfast, and I did like a devotional. It was really great. And as we're serving breakfast, there's like 70, 80 something kids on the team, and a bunch of the coaches and whatever. They all came through, and as they were coming through for seconds, a kid dropped his bacon on the floor. And I was like, hey man, just grab you another slice. I'll chunk that in the trash over here. And he's like, no. And he wipes on his shirt. He goes, it's still good. And then takes a bite. And I'm going to say 100 pairs of shoes have walked exactly where he dropped his bacon.
I just liked it that he wiped it on his shirt.
Yeah. Greased his shirt up, by the way. Nice Coleman Bearcats polo.
Hey, but let's be honest, it was worth it.
It was good bacon.
Totally worth
it. was
it.
good bacon. And the last thing I do want to tell y'all is I'm a little bit, I would say, woozy this morning. We had our in-home Devo last night at the Cambrils. They do a great job hosting, but they have this huge, tall barn building that we do this in, and they have a swing that is tied to the rafters at the top, meaning it has a huge, long
And they
rope.
spun you around on it.
They
didn't
spun me. They spun me
throw
tight.
up?
They twisted and twisted and twisted and twisted, and then they let me go. And didn't just let me go, but he like shoved it so it went really fast as he
Did you
let me
throw
go.
up?
I, for about 45 minutes, could not stop feeling like I was going to puke.
Yeah.
I'll show you the video. It's videoed. I'll show it to you later. But
Yeah, if you're watching the
It was
podcast on
rough.
video, we'll
Yeah.
show that on the video.
yeah.
We'll just put it on the at the end.
Yeah.
if you
It
want
was
to.
absolutely awful. And I regret it. I immediately realized I'm not as young as I once
Hey,
was.
so when are we going to start doing video?
Never.
As soon as we buy a camera, I guess. And get Jeremy
Well,
to make us a cool...
We can't afford it because we got to pay for our booth.
That's
M2Y.
right.
Yeah,
That's true.
M2Y really put us back on our
Hashtag
our video.
let down.
That's a lot of money. That's
Hashtag
a
me
lot
too.
of money.
So is a camera, though. But you know what's really cool about that is
Yeah.
that
it is.
event cost you $0, didn't it?
Yeah.
to be spun around and feel like you're going to throw up.
And that made a memory for our teens.
Yeah.
It was a very budget friendly activity, budget friendly event, and that's kind of what we want to talk about.
So last night we had a in-home Devo. Mr. Tony and Miss Lisa invited us all over, and they grilled hamburgers and hot dogs. It was awesome. They have like a big yard. Their kids just kind of spread out and had a good time. And even one of Hunter's youth group kids came. And so,
well, that's bad because they should have been bowling with us last night. We went bowling. It's fantastic. Threw a lot of gutter balls.
Very cool.
I mean, my theory of bowling, if you throw the ball as hard as you can, more pins are going to fall down.
Hey, that's true.
But by doing that, you are going to throw a lot in the gutter as well.
Yeah, but sometimes if you throw it hard enough, even if it goes in the gutter, it'll pop out.
Or sometimes it'll jump to the other lane and get the other pins.
That's true. Happened to me before.
That did not happen to me, but bowled decent. I only bowl twice a year, but it was fun. That was not a cheap event, and it wasn't free.
What's your average bowling score?
Oh, like I'm happy to get triple digits. Like it's not.
Wow.
What's yours? I'm curious.
Probably
there was a
Jeremy's really good at this. You know,
the weird stuff. The weird stuff. There was a time when I was averaging about a 180.
Okay, that's good. That's
and
really good.
my best score is
155.
My best score was a 272.
Almost turkey.
And I got like stupid in a rhythm. Like I couldn't miss until
my best. I think it was somewhere around 210.
I almost had a perfect.
I just remember Brent getting mad because I beat him, and I had two. It was like 210 somewhere.
I'll be honest. If I ever bowl over a 200, I will be buying my own bowling ball the next day.
My average.
I was going back to college on scholarship.
If we went right now,
I have eligibility left.
If we went right now and we went bowling, I would probably get about a 140.
Yeah, I could pull a 140, 150.
What we need, Freed Hardman needs a bowling team.
They did have one when I was there.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, and I even that was with Coach Corley. Yeah.
Dang.
Coach
Did y'all
Corley.
hear about the golf tournament that M2Y is hosting at the course at Pigeon Forge while we're there?
Can I borrow your clubs?
Yeah, I'll bring you a set. So I don't know if that's true, but if it was,
Michael just
it would be just
upset.
an added expense on top of what we're already having to pay for our vendor booth.
That's right. I mean, good grief.
Michael got so upset. You said he was about to have to go hang out on the golf course.
Oh, I don't ever want to do that again.
There we go. Okay, so here's what I want to ask. Now that we've spent the first 15 minutes.
And by the way, it cost me $0.
What minute are we at right now?
Eight.
Okay, good. That's a good start.
That's the usual elder welcome at the church.
Oh, yours is only 8?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm just joking.
I'm happy if it's sub 10.
All right, so let me ask you this. Have you ever worked in a situation where you were very limited on your youth budget for the year?
Yeah, towards the end of the year when it's all gone, it gets very limited. Then we have to, well, I'll tell you this, and I've said this probably multiple times on the podcast. I tell my elders every single year, and they knew with me coming into Flint and interning and stuff like that, my goal is to make it as cheap as possible for the parents. Because life's not cheap. Jeremy knows that. He's taking his family to Disney. Life's not cheap.
You ain't kidding.
But if you're able to sit here and try and offset a lot of the costs that the kids and parents are going to have to be paying, then that's really going to help. I think of really like Exposure Youth Camp. It's what, 2-3 days after 2 days after
and
Christmas.
It's an expensive trip.
Well, it's right after Christmas. After all these parents have just paid all this Christmas money, and it's like, well, hey, on top of that, you need to, if you're paying the full price, you need to pay $275. So you're trying to make that number or any number that we have as cheap as possible. So that's always my goal. I mentioned maybe a couple weeks ago that I had to get a budget extension. Our youth group grew more than I thought it would. I guess I'm a terrible youth minister, not thinking that we would grow more than I thought we would.
Or a really good one.
But no, I don't. Definitely not that. But then just other hidden expenses, inflation, things like that happen. So then at the end of the year, you kind of get stretched thin. You're like, hey, I have X amount left. X amount needs to go towards exposure, but then I have this much that needs to last through these 4 events. How can I make that happen? And maybe sometimes you have to have your kids pay a little bit more money. For some of the smaller events, maybe you don't have that random pizza party that you planned, or maybe you don't take your kids to Disney at the end of the year, stuff like that. So, not your actual kids, your youth group kids. Maybe you don't take your youth group kids to Disney.
Yeah, like Michael does. So here's the thing. We've been talking on Wednesday nights about the apostles, and one of the things we keep coming back to is the story in John 6 when Jesus sees this crowd, and he says to his disciples, he says, hey, how should we feed all these people? And then they immediately, specifically, Philip has this response where he goes, man, if we had tons of money, it's still not enough. I think it says 200 denarii. He says that wouldn't be able to feed this crowd. And he looks at kind of what daunting tasks there is ahead and goes, we can't afford it, right? And so instead of that response, we see, I believe it's Andrew, that looks and says, hey, here's a kid who has something, right? Can we do something with what we have? And so I guess the thing that I want us to kind of think about or have some conversation about is, instead of seeing what we can't do, think about how do we do differently with what we have? How do we stretch what we do have to make it work or make it last or make it possible?
Not we can't afford it, but
Right.
instead, what can we do to make it still happen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Regardless of what the obstacle is.
Yeah. And what we noticed too with all of our listeners, between us three, all the other youth ministers in our area, every church is very different. Every church's budget is going to be different. We're not going to get into the specifics of what our budgets are on the podcast, but all three of our budgets are very different. Sam's at Beltlines is very different. Keith at Decatur, his budget's very different. But you're also going to have churches that don't really have a full-time youth minister or a large youth group, or just churches that don't have a large church to be able to have a lot of the funding that a lot of these other bigger churches have. And what we want everybody to understand is it's okay. And you can still do great things on a limited budget.
Yeah.
One of my classes a couple of summers ago was limited resource ministry. And that's basically what it was how can you make the best out of the things that you have right in front of you? And that's exactly what Jeremy's saying with feeding the 5,000. How can you make the best of what's given to you right here in this moment? And when you do that, it goes back to a couple weeks ago when we talked about pillars of our youth program or budgets, things on those lines. And it's to where you're making sure that those pillars are taken care of, and you keep going from there.
I wash my pillars very often.
I don't. Ever.
And my pillar cases.
No, I do think, though, there's times where we think about what are we going to do for class, or what are we going to do for curriculum, or what are we going to do? And sometimes, one of the things that Hunter's talked about before is to make the Flint budget go further. He writes a lot of curriculum.
Yeah,
right?
I do too.
And you may be in a situation where you can afford to buy a pre-made curriculum, or you may be in a situation where you prefer to write. But
Well,
some people choose that because they need to limit what they're spending on that, and so they write content.
Well, and I'm not saying this for us to sound like we know everything. We're not perfect people. We're not perfect Christians.
Whoa,
We're not
whoa,
perfect.
whoa.
Well, I am not.
Okay.
Well, I am not a perfect minister.
perfect
But what I do know
person.
is I don't think there's a perfect cookie cutter curriculum that fits your entire youth group. And so when you first get into a spot, yes, it's cool to have, Apologetics Press or any of these other guys that make these curriculums. It's cool to have those. But then eventually you get to know your youth group, and you know, like, hey, they need these specific needs.
That's right.
So one, it does save money. I guess you could say that. But on the other hand, it's just you being resourceful and knowing what your kids need, and knowing that you're able to make a curriculum that fits their needs specifically.
Yeah. I always did that when I was in Arkansas. We rarely used curriculum, official curriculum. I just wrote my own, and I would also have teachers, and I would say, hey, here's a good book to read and go through with our students, and then let them go through the book with our students too. So whenever somebody was filling in, so
let's talk about some ideas, just some creative event ideas, things that you've done, that you've put out there with your group before that were still great events, but were kind of lower on cost, or maybe you cost shared things with parents. What's some ideas, I guess, or some experiences you've had with that?
So we just did we do in-home devos. We try to do 2 a month. Some months it's just impossible to do that, but we try to do 2 a month. We definitely do 1 a month every month, and our Devo this month was, like I said at the top of the show, Mr. Tony and Miss Lisa. They had us over. They grilled hamburgers and hot dogs. It was all on their expense. They did all of that. And then I texted the guys, or I didn't do it this time, but in the past I just said, hey, Guys bring drinks, girls bring desserts, and so the families would bring some drinks for everybody, some desserts for everybody. This year we have so many left over from the area wide that I just loaded all the drinks up from that and all the snacks up from that and brought them with us, and that was the way that we had that devotional, and so it cost us nothing. I guess the gas to get there, and they lived 4 minutes from the building, so
can't beat that.
I'll tell you
but
something.
that's one of the ways that a low cost thing that gets our kids together, and it's a lot of fun. We had a ton of fun.
Yeah. Something that we do leading up to an event, like especially if it's an event where we know we're going to serve canned drinks, like say a trunk or treat, we know we're going to have Cokes or Dr. Peppers. I've got a few ladies in our parents of teens that they really pay attention to and watch like the Publix, buy one get one or whatever's going on sale that week, and they communicate that with me, and we like kind of spread that around to everybody. We're like, hey, this week you go buy 2 and get 2 free. You
just told us about the Dr. Pepper.
Yeah. Publix this week had buy 2 get 3 free on 2 liters on Pepsi and Dr. Pepper, which is kind of cool. Not a sponsor yet.
Kroger will do.
Kroger does, especially the Kroger in Hartsville. They do a ton of stuff.
Yeah. But paying attention to those kind of things, watching those sale ads, or honestly, I never watch those sale ads. I just wait for the ladies that do watch those sale ads to tell me those things, and then we make a plan to go get them.
Yeah.
But having people that are kind of paying attention to that, knowing, far off, something like buying canned goods or buying drinks or whatever that can last for a little while, you can prepare for those things in advance and save yourself some big money on your budget by doing that.
Yeah. I mean, think about like a normal pack of soda, like your normal
some soda
12 pack of soda pop. It's $8. Okay, if you go to Walmart, sometimes they'll have it on their little rollback thing, and it's like $7.15 or something like that. But getting 5 12 packs for what, $20 or so is awesome. That's incredible. I mean, that saves you so much money in the long run. And so Dollar General will do things where it's like 3 for $15, and that doesn't save you a ton of money, but it's basically a free pack of sodas or whatever. But watch for those sales and take advantage of them whenever they have them. And it's not just sodas; they'll do that with everything. And so make sure that you're paying attention when the gummies are on sale or our youth group's favorites, Gushers.
Oh man, yeah. We tear up some
and
Gushers.
Honey Buns. They love Honey Buns, and so make sure that you're taking advantage of any of those deals that they have. So yeah,
one of the things that were you going to say something? Sorry.
Yeah, well, it's fine. But one thing I really thought about too, and it's not completely free the entire year. That's what I'm going to say. But we do area-wide devotionals.
Yeah.
So the most recent one was here at Hartsville.
The best one we've ever had.
I mean, I'd legit say that. And over the past 5 years, that's the biggest crowd we've ever had.
Best area-wide in the last 5 years.
It was fantastic. JD did great. Michael had a great setup. But it cost something for Michael's group for that month. But the rest of the year, it's not going to cost them a single dime. It's just going to cost them gas to get to Flint, to get to Coleman, to get to Beltline, to get to North Highlands. I don't know who else is on it. Decatur, wherever else we're going. And that's going to be the cost. But for the rest of us, it was me loading up the kids and us driving from Decatur to Hartsville and having a great devotional with 200 other kids there.
Yeah, and I think that you think about those kind of big events too. Like when you're hosting that, I think y'all provided pizza, right? We had pizza. But if you're cooking a meal or you're headed, like this weekend, we're headed to Rush. Okay. This, a few weeks we've got retreat coming up, buying bulk things, buying as much as you can in bulk as possible. Even like planning ahead for, like I went ahead and bought, because of that deal at Publix, I went ahead and bought a bunch of drinks for Rush too. Mm-hmm. I was buying drinks yesterday for something, but I went ahead and bought a bunch because there was a good deal. Buying in bulk at places like Costco and Sam's Club help you a lot.
Yep.
So those are things that, little things that you're going to buy the stuff anyways. You might as well try to find as good a deal as you possibly can.
We also, I've got our graduation banquets that we do. I don't know how y'all do yours, but we invite the families and those, that small intimate group of graduates and their families and their friends and that kind of thing. We don't usually invite the entire church. And so the only people that are seeing these things are just the people that are involved with the graduation right then and there. And it does a really good because nobody sees those decorations, so we can just use them the next year. Or, we actually, I think we have some decorations we're going to use over and over and over, and then we have another group of decorations, and we just flip flop every other year and just use the same ones, and that saves money. So we only had the expense. I think it costs about $400 for all the decorations for this year's graduation party, and then we always do like a gift, and so a little extra, but I mean, $400, and then you're set. Like, you don't have to do it again. That's it. So reuse those decorations and the supplies, the games, all the stuff that you can just reuse that stuff and save money that way.
I don't know where VBS falls in line with y'all's budgets. I don't think it's with my budget with youth, but even I think about that with VBS. I think we borrowed some stuff from y'all, from Hartzell for this year. I think we both, or maybe last year, we both did a space theme.
I think it might have been last 2 years ago. I think it was last year.
We both did a space theme, and it was y'all did it before us, so we called y'all, and y'all were more than happy to let us borrow a couple things. But it's using the churches around you, using your resources around you. Even with the area wides, it's if you're a smaller church and you're wanting to host an area wide, and you're scared of 200 kids showing up to your church. Maybe you and a couple of other smaller churches gather together and help offset that cost, and you're just the one that's kind of hosting that event. You can definitely do that. You can build up many things just by working together.
Also, one thing to keep in mind is take advantage of the universities. Call their recruiting offices and just say, hey, we're having a Devo. You all want to pay for the food? And they'll do it.
Yeah.
They'll pay for the food and sponsor whatever event that you need.
Or they'll, like, we've had some come in and they'll do a Wednesday night class and teach class, and then they'll take our kids out for ice cream or something like that, which it's just some ice cream, but it gives us an opportunity to get all these kids together and go do something after class, and it's at no cost to their families.
And they're advertising the university.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
I mean, there's no downside.
You've got kids that are going to consider, looking at that school just because of something as simple as that hospitality. Let me ask you this: Do you do events where you, I don't know if I'd say fundraise as much as like you do a service project and people can donate towards the kids' expenses for a mission trip or towards their kids' expenses for camp?
I have before.
Okay. So have you found that to be a positive way to minimize costs per family or per individual kid going? Has that been something useful to you in the past?
We had one thing that we did when I was working in Muscle Shoals. That was kind of like that. And it helped fund our trip to Disney World. To Florida.
Hey, what's that event called? How do they do like events at your local?
No, I'm just kidding. But we honestly we would do a mission trip, and it was in South Florida, and we would always do a mission trip down there, and that would pay for it. The money that we made in that little fundraising, quote unquote fundraising event, would make all of the money that we needed to go on the mission trip, and it would pay for all that, and then we would pay out of pocket to go to Disney for one day while we were there.
One of the things that I've found that you can anytime there's somebody in the congregation that has a need of something, like an older person that needs their leaves raked or they need their lawn care done, you can do it as a voluntary thing. They'll call me and say, hey, do you have a teen that might want to do this? And often they're not saying, can someone come do this for free? They say, hey, can I pay one of your teens? Does anybody need help with a camp or whatever? And so I'll think about, like, what kid do I know that probably needs a scholarship right now? And I'll say, hey, are you available Saturday at 8 o'clock? Could you go help some, move furniture? Could you go mow this person's yard or whatever? And they're going to donate towards your trip, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a cool way to connect our older members with our younger, but also to serve a need financially for a student.
I think being present in your congregation as a youth minister, as a youth worker, as someone that's involved in the youth group, being present in your congregation and allowing the congregation to know the needs of your ministry. You might have a handful of people in your congregation that are looking for ways to serve the youth group.
Yeah.
And it might be a financial way, and all they need to know is what do they need to do. Mm-hmm. And it might be as simple as you coming up and you saying, hey, we have this event coming up. If you would like to sponsor a couple of our kids for this, they're more than happy to write you a check. They're more than happy to be there to help out whatever that situation is. And it's always encouraging to see that as well.
I do that usually in March or April. I'll put it in the bulletin and I'll just say, hey, there's multiple trips coming up this summer. and there will be students who need scholarship. If you're interested in helping in this way, reach out, right?
Yeah.
And like Hunter just said, it'll blow your mind how many people will call you and say, "Hey, I want to help. I want to help," or they'll just drop a check in my box and never say anything to me, and I'll find it and it'll just say for scholarship, right?
Yeah. Yep. I had just not long ago a lady call me and just say, "Hey, we want to give some money because we saw all the things that you're doing, and we want to give some money to support some kids that wouldn't have been able to go on these trips because of money, and that's where we want this money to be used." And so I thought that was awesome, and we've used it since.
Well, I'm sure y'all have mentioned it at all of your youth group. What is it? What do y'all don't? Well, I call it the youth group dinner. Y'all had other things you called it. Where all the youth groups together, all the parents. I always tell them like, "Hey,
open house."
Yeah, I'm like, "Hey guys, listen. Like a financial thing is no excuse for your kid not to go.
Yeah.
If you cannot afford it financially, you come talk to me." And the sad thing is, a lot of them don't want to.
Right.
You know, they're more than happy to just not to send their kid because they're just not willing to accept help or say that they need help, and it's frustrating. But you also have to have that openness of, hey guys, you know, if you do need help, please do come talk to me. Your kid is not going to not go on this event because you can't simply afford it.
I've been known to go to one of those families and just say, "Hey, if he wants to go, somebody's already paid for him." Mm-hmm. And I'll tell him that. Like just say, I'll go to him and say, "Hey, I'm just letting you know, somebody's already paid for him. He gets to go for free. If he wants to go, it's free. He doesn't have to pay a dime." And they're like, "No, you don't have to. It's already paid for. Like I can't take the money back. You know, I'm not going to give them. They've already registered him. He's already ready to go if he wants to go." And they're like, "Okay." And that's what I'll do. I've got that money that they donated to me, and I'll just register that kid, and then just tell him, "Hey, he's already paid for and registered and everything. If he wants to go, he can go."
I've done that where I've registered a kid. I'm like, "Hey, like." I registered you. Do you want to go? And like the parents will sometimes talk them into it. A lot of times the kids will be like, "Oh yeah, I'll go now."
Yeah.
So one of the things too, when you're planning out your budget for the year and you're thinking about like things like a fall retreat, okay, be conscientious of like what locations you're booking or where you're thinking about going based on what it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
Right? And in all reality, the last couple of years we did our fall retreat and we intentionally chose a place because it was a much more budget friendly thing.
And it was different.
It helped. And it was something different. And we had a great time and our kids had a blast.
And it was awesome. I love that place.
And so this year we're going somewhere that's a little bit less budget friendly than last year's, but it's still great, right? But you know, there's definitely places that are a lot more bougie and a lot, you know, nicer places, but they just might not fit with your budget plan. And being aware of what you can and can't do, and not, you know, over leveraging yourself financially.
Well, and here's the thing too. You can go to on a retreat. You know, let's say we went to a place that's a little bit more budget friendly. You can go on a retreat and you can have a great impact there, but you can also have a great impact at a stay retreat, where you simply stay at your building and you have a retreat there, and you might bring in a speaker, or you might be the speaker, and you speaking at some of these events is going to save you money as well, not having to pay for a speaker.
Yep.
But you're
going to have just as much impact at your church doing a stay retreat or a lock-in or something like that as you would. As much as we hate lock-ins, as much as you would going to some bougie place that is always the kids will remember.
There's a really, really nice place in Gleason, Tennessee. I can't remember the name of it, or I would let you know, but it's in Gleason, Tennessee. When I worked in Milan, we would do retreats there very often because it was free. I mean, literally, you paid a $300 deposit. And then as soon as you finish the retreat, you just they'd send it right back to you just to make sure that they were covered if any damage was done. $300 deposit, and they send it right back. And we always told them to keep it, and we always gave them a check for a little more than that. You know, I think it was $500, and I just told them keep it. You know, don't send us back any money. But that place is still open. They're still accepting people to come there. It's still a really good. Liberty Retreat Center. That's the name of it. And it was awesome. I loved it. It's a really nice place. It's very small. You could probably only take about 40 people total. But man, it was awesome. We loved it.
Well, if you're in the North Alabama area, I think Heritage also has cabins that you can rent. I think that's fairly cheap. You can also go to your it's free. You can also go to your congregation if you have members with larger houses. Oftentimes they're more than happy to have you over.
Yep.
I got to speak at a retreat for Jeremy, and it was really cool because it was some of his members' home. And they were more than happy to open up their home so kids could be there. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's why they built that home in the way that they did.
Yeah, they built it with the intentionality of being able to host things for the church.
My youth group had a retreat at their house.
Yeah.
After speaking at one of my retreats.
Yeah, I really did. And they were so glad that we were able to do it. So
very cool.
Awesome people. And so we want to leave y'all with some like practical takeaways. And I'll start us off and just say, after each trip, if you go over budget with whatever the event was, and you kind of make a habit out of it, and you're starting to lose some money in your budget, you can always go back and review that event and just say, how can we make this cheaper, or how can we make this not cost us so much? How can we do this? Could we share it with another group? Could we cut costs on the food and get cheaper food? Could we not get snacks and let them bring their own snacks? But find ways to make that event cheaper, because if you keep going over budget, over, then you're not going to have anything by the end of the year. And so review what your biggest expenses were and try to find ways to cut that down and make it cheaper.
Yeah, I think sharing the expense, what you just said, is a big, like we're doing that with our Winterfest trip this year. We're renting a cabin with another group. We rented a huge cabin, and it cut our expense down from about $5,000 something for our cabin to like $3,400 for our cabin.
Oh, wow.
Which is kind of awesome. Saved us a bunch of money.
Yeah. Well, and if I were to wake up tomorrow and turn in my budget, and the elders were to say, hey, listen, we're just not able to do this, it has to be cut in half, then you start to find the events. We talked about the pillars or the pillows. You talked about the rocks last week. It's what's important. What events can you cut out, but that you can still keep as something that's important for your youth group, where they're going to grow, where you see as a need? Maybe for us, we do Rush and we do Legacy. We started Legacy this summer, but I love both of them because they're both very similar. You're getting to spend time on Faulkner's campus and Freed-Hardeman's campus. If it's cut in half, maybe you have to have this tough choice of we can only choose one this year.
Yeah.
And what does that look like? And it doesn't have to be the same. It doesn't have to be Rush every single year. It can alternate.
Right.
You can go to Legacy one year, Rush one year. You can alternate the events that you go to so the kids don't go to the exact same one every single year, and you can have a variety still. But at some point you are going to have to make cuts. And it's being able to make the cuts in the right way that's still going to benefit your youth group, that your youth group's still going to grow spiritually, but you're not spending a lot of that extra money somewhere else where it doesn't need to be spent.
Well, it goes back to what we talked about, was that one episode ago or 2 episodes ago, about the rocks, and the water and the sand and the pebbles and all that stuff. What is the most important thing in your budget? And when or in your youth ministry, according to your budget, if you can't afford certain events, which ones are you going to cut out? Which ones are you going to keep? How are you going to make that work? And so, like Hunter said, if your budget is cut in half, what would you do? How are you still going to accomplish the things that you're trying to accomplish?
And definitely reach out. If that does happen, let's say, or you need more in your budget, reach out to your church, the church members, because they are more than happy to help as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you'll find that you've got some, you may not even know who it is, but you've got some people that are very willing, and they may not have a kid in the youth group, they may not have a grandkid, but they just see the importance in what you're doing and they want to support it.
Yeah. And always try to keep a positive mindset. A limited budget doesn't have to limit your ministry. Sometimes it can help you unlock some of your best ideas or some of your best work. So keep that in mind. We hope that these budget episodes have been beneficial for you. I hope that this has been a really good thing. It has been for me, especially. We've kind of gone over it. And
it's probably getting close to time to have that thing submitted. So another week or two and your elders are going to be looking for it.
Yeah. Go online, look at our website, oksyouthministry.com, and you will find our budget sheet on there. And you can download that. That'll help you show the elders, your ideas and help you dream a little bit. And they'll see how much each event costs and what your plans are a lot more clearly if you use that budget sheet. So check that out.
With everything we always talk about, showing intentionality and showing what you're doing and seeing, being professional in this, it's going to go a long way.
Yeah, it definitely does. Well, that's all that we got. I'm glad that we have been able to talk about budgets and discuss this around this time, because I hope that this is preparing you for submitting your budget and getting ready for the next year. And man, I'm glad that we're able to be back in the studio today. Our lives have been just kind of chaos, and Hunter just got back from Boston, so he was out last week, and it feels good to be back in the studio. So check out M2Y Conference. Again, Lucas Dial, the president, he had our episode last week. Go back and listen to that if you need to know what M2Y is about. I've been going I've gone every single year since its inception.
Was it first year was in Florida?
Inception.
It was at Disney World in Orlando. Wow. Yeah, the first one was. We actually got free tickets to Disney World, and we went.
Lucas, what's going on?
Hey,
hold on a minute.
Let me also put this out there. We talked a lot about like sponsorships and things. If there's anybody that's looking to sponsor a vendor booth, we would be glad to accept that sponsorship.
Yeah, you just let us know.
You let us know if you'd like to help with that.
Talking about budgets and.
But in all seriousness, we do love M2Y. We love what they stand for. We love what they do. I think it is very beneficial for anyone that is involved in youth ministry in any way, full-time, part-time, volunteers, elders, deacons, whoever's dealing with youth ministry, M2Y will bless you.
Yeah, and they're not even a sponsor.
Yeah, they're not a sponsor.
We're
Definitely
just saying
not.
it because we love
Anymore.
them. I don't want y'all to ever think that they're a sponsor anymore. They were last year, but they're not this year.
Yeah.
We lost our only sponsor.
Not that we're bitter. We're just letting you know.
Yeah, we want to be transparent.
The only thing that's changed is the new president.
Biggest thing about this
and
is
all of a sudden
honesty.
we lost everything.
Yeah. See, and it's kind of crazy because I thought that we were friends.
So if you want to email Lucas Dowell and complain to him, his email is
lucasdowell@m2y.com. I hope your ministry is blessed.
Roll it. That's a wrap. Perfect.
Thanks for joining us today in the important conversation of youth ministry. Go and follow us on Instagram and check out oksyouthministry.com for more information about our upcoming episodes. We'll be dropping a new episode every Wednesday morning, and we look forward to talking with you again next week. And hey, it's okay to be the OKS youth minister around, but let's all strive to be just a little bit better.